Hey, welcome back. Now, in my last live show, I found out that there is a bit of confusion in a certain area related to inflammation, insulin resistance, and just being overweight. So I'm going to clear that up with this short video here. So there's a lot of different chain reactions that occur in the body when you're dealing with diabetes and also when you're dealing with just gaining weight. And so sometimes things get mixed up, and if you actually research this topic, you'll find that there's not a lot of data on cause and effect relationship. There's associations, there's secondary causes. So I want to try to give you some clarity on if it's the chicken or the egg, okay? All right, so inflammation does contribute to insulin resistance, which then causes diabetes, which is high levels of glucose in the blood. Okay, so that's true. And it's also true that the more fat you have in your body, the more inflammation you're going to have, which then can contribute to this. But then the question is, do you know anyone who has diabetes that developed diabetes because they had too much inflammation? Do you know of someone who is overweight because they have too much inflammation? Probably not. So inflammation in general contributes to this, and it might worsen diabetes, and it could actually slow down your ability to lose weight if you're stuck in some plateau. If we take a look at the primary drivers of inflammation, glucose is at the top of the list. Carbs, too many carbs. Could be that you're consuming too many omega-6 oils, okay? It could be that you have too much iron, so these are also causes. Not as common. It could be that you have a chronic infection, okay, that could cause systemic inflammation. Could be because you drink too much alcohol. It could also be that you have too much cortisol in your body. Now, cortisol is an anti-inflammatory, so it's supposed to get rid of inflammation. But what happens when you have too much cortisol, the receptors for cortisol downgrade, so you develop cortisol resistance. And then what happens, you have a situation where you have a deficiency of cortisol on one part of your body and you have an excess on the other part, and that can aggravate inflammation. Now, as far as fat goes, glucose is the primary driver of fat because what happens, it triggers insulin, and insulin is an energy storage hormone, so it's going to store this glucose as fat, and it's also going to prevent the mobilization or burning of this fat right here. So both insulin resistance, because it increases insulin, will cause fat, and of course high glucose will cause fat right here, just like I said right here. And then having fat keeps inflammation high and keeps everything kind of locked up. And so when I asked the question, what is the primary way that you get into ketosis, which is fat burning, not everyone said decrease carbs. Some people said, take ketones, which is not going to help you lose weight because taking ketones is not going to turn your fat into more ketones. It's going to give you more ketones as energy, and you'll feel a little bit better, but it's not going to actually help you lose weight at all. So the two things that cause you to get into ketosis are, number one, drop your carbs, lower your carbs, and decrease the frequency of eating. That's what causes ketosis. So the fastest way to improve both diabetes and fixing a plateau situation with your weight is to fix insulin resistance by lowering carbs and going on intermittent fasting. But let's say you're doing that and it's too slow and you want to speed it up. Well, you can do things to drop inflammation by lowering your stress, reducing your alcohol, reducing the omega-6 fatty acids, very important, making sure that you're not taking too much iron, and also handling a hidden infection that could be blocking the whole thing. Oregano oil, clove, garlic are really, really important. Some people might have Epstein-Barr virus, or they might have some type of infection that is just keeping everything locked up. So by completely getting rid of inflammation in the body, as well as getting on keto and intermittent fasting, you can rapidly improve not just diabetes, but you can bust through a plateau with your weight because you are improving insulin resistance. So anyway, I hope this kind of clarified some things, and for most people, you already know this data, but for those of you who don't, it's important to get the facts. Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you have a question about a product, or you're new to keto and you want to know how to begin keto, or you're on keto and you need a debug because it's not going as smooth, I have a keto consultant standing by to help you. This is just for the people in the US. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to answer everyone's call, but I put the number down below so you can call and get some help.